the biggest complaint I get about DLP, and the biggest complaints are about the investment minimums. Now, you showed some slides earlier in the presentation that showed the funds had $500,000 investment minimums. Now, I know you've decreased that for white coat investors to a $200,000 minimum. I still have people asking for lower minimums. Tell us why the investment minimum is $200,000 and not $20,000.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And I will just clarify the positive note fund, the last fund I wrapped up with, which is the fixed return, does have 100,000 minimum. So we do have a fund that has a lower than 200,000. And you're absolutely right. Those slides that we showed, we didn't customize those slides to this white coat group. Those are what we showed everybody else, right? So to your point, to white coat, we've lowered it to 200,000. To everybody else, when they ask the question, it's 500,000. And the reason for it is fairly straightforward, which is it takes a lot of time, effort, and work to provide the level of service to our investors that we do. And as I covered a few slides earlier, we just added 8 new team members to this investor relations team, doubling kind of that size. And maybe at some point we'll make the decision, say, hey, we can handle having 10,000 investors, right? But we added 600 last year. Right? That's a lot of new relationships to manage and support. And many of them are invested in multiple funds with us and then bring in multiple family members and trusts and IRAs and individual accounts. And it's just a lot. And the last thing I tell this to my team members, and we tell this to other, developers thinking or running funds. It's even more important, arguably, than the returns you generate, than the communication and the reporting and the tax returns and all the communication of what's going on happening, right? I could generate 50% returns, but the distributions don't come on time. The reporting doesn't come on time. But fundamentally, I'm doing a great job, and you're going to be nervous and upset, right? So delivering that level of consistency, and not just the returns, but the communication and the tax side and the reporting, we have human resource, limits. And then the last piece to it is in full transparency. Out of everything I get to do as CEO of this organization, and I get my hands in a lot of the organization, and I love everything I get to do. But the thing that I enjoy most of all is building relationships with our investors, is knowing we're a part of not only what they're doing in their lives, their kids, grandkids, the ministries they support, the communities they're involved in. And for not just me, but for a lot of us, to build those deep relationships and not be transactional is really, really important to us. So I'd rather add 100 investors that we can build deep relationships and be a meaningful part of their life and their investments and their future, right? Than bring 1,000 investors in who are just another line item on their balance sheet and having no major impact other than some good returns. So that's the approach we've taken to our growth. And as we grow as an organization and our resources grow, we'll continue to evaluate that.
The hosts of the White Coat Investor podcast are not licensed accountants, attorneys, or financial advisors. This podcast is free entertainment and information only. It should not be considered professional or personalized financial advice. You should consult the appropriate professional for specific advice relating to your situation.